Okay, so magandang hapon and welcome to our webinar again. So maraming salamat for being with us here sa ating first ever webinar. Maraming salamat to Sir Jambi for revisiting the concepts of online distance learning. I think mahalagang background yan for all of us para mas maiposition natin ang mga sarili natin when we create our modules. Important yan because the modules you're going to create would depend on the modality you're going to employ for this year. Okay? And also maraming salamat to Sir Angelo for giving us an idea about modularity, its importance, and its connection to other concepts such as engagement, student pacing, etc. So lahat yan magiging importante when we talk about modules. Okay? So ngayon, illocate natin ngayon yung modules in relation to distance learning and paano ba dapat natin gawin ang mga modules and how do we design it. So we're going to talk about some design principles in creating your modules. Okay? So first natin kailangan balikan, okay, bago tayo pumunta sa pag-visit on design principles ng module and even before creating modules, okay, is that we have to look back again at alamin kung ano nga ba ang module, okay? Because by understanding kung what modules are, okay, we'll be able to create uh, the actual or a better or a working module. Okay? Kasi alam natin kung para saan siya, ano yung purpose niya, and ano yung core origin ng module. Okay? So, when we look at modules, sabi ni Russell, okay, in 1974, na ang modules daw ay mga instructional packages na nakabase isang conceptual unit ng iyong subject matter. Ito ay basically para tulungan ng mga estudyante or to help students achieve or accomplish your course, okay? With well-defined objectives, okay? So siguro several things na kailangan nating i-highlight is that number one, it's a package, okay? So ibig sabihin kung package siya, di ba? Yung concept ng package kasi resonates with the concept of completeness, eh, di ba? So kung package yan, dapat nandun na, okay? Nandun na yung mga kailangan nilang gawin, nandun na yung kailangan nilang malaman, so that when they use the module, they can actually perform whatever they need to perform. Okay? So kung kailangan meron silang matutunan, matututunan nila yon using the module you're going to design. So dapat ganun tayo naka-frame. Okay? So when we develop our modules. Okay? Second is that meron siyang well-defined objectives. Okay? So ibig sabihin, um, dapat lahat ng modules natin are defined by a particular objective. So, na-achievable dapat at doable ng mga students natin. Okay? As pwede nating sabihin na aside from that, okay, that modules are basically chunks, okay, or building blocks of your subject matter, okay? So, what we basically do is that if we're going to go back, for example, in our pre-COVID era, okay, when we design things, okay, usually per quarter, or if not per year, okay, di ba pinaplano natin kung ano yung mga contents gagawin natin per year. Okay, so entire year yan. O kaya for those who are teaching in the universities, naka per course tayo or per semester. Okay? So, ang difference ngayon kapag nasa modular format ka is that you take your subject, okay, or you take your course, okay, and you design, okay, it in a way to be in smaller units, okay, that could be called or would be called a module. Okay, so for example, instead of giving an entire subject for an entire year or entire quarter, we give them like 2 to 3 modules per quarter. Okay, that eventually covers the entire quarter. Or for those who are again teaching by semester, 2 to 3 modules per semester, or even four. Okay, so it depends on how the subject matter, okay, or the course could be chunked or could be divided. Okay? And siguro mahalaga din na kailangan nating matandaan yung um, sa transition phase. Okay, so paano ba tayo dapat mag-transition from what we're usually doing before and what we're supposed to do now. Okay? So pag binalikan natin yung pre-COVID era natin, okay, we usually have the first quarter, and each quarter has a unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, or kung hindi man, meron yung mga lesson plans, okay, or lesson for the day, or sessions for the day, etc. Okay? So, ganun natin siya tinitake. So, per quarter siya. Okay? Should we scrap it? Kasi parang hindi naman siya mag apply sa modular format. I don't think so. Okay? I think we should build up on what we have already, okay? We have to be practical about it kasi we can't all start from scratch, okay? Imagine, alam natin kung gaano kahirap mag-develop ng mga instructional materials and given the time that we have, okay, we won't be able to finish it, okay? Sobrang mas stress tayo, sobrang tayong mapapagod. So instead, what I suggest is to build up on what we have. Okay, so revisit what you have already. Okay, so lahat ng mga plans nyo, lahat ng mga units nyo, lahat ng curriculums nyo, and from that curriculum, okay, um, try to refit, okay, or think on how you can actually convert those into your modules, okay? So when you have chosen though, okay, meron tayong isang important question that we have to answer, okay? So kapag kinonvert mo yung isang unit mo into your module, okay, so for example, nilift mo yung yung unit 1 to becoming your module 1, before, our first question when we develop a unit, okay, for a quarter is that, how do I teach it? Okay. And I think lahat naman tayo, yan ang unang tanong. And even I, okay, kapag nagde-develop ako ng isang instructional material before, yan ang isa rin sa mga usual tanong ko. How do I teach it? Okay? Pero, kapag in our transition to modularity, hindi na yan pwede. Okay? Hindi siya, how do I teach it? Kasi wala tayo dun eh. Okay? Given that we don't have physical contact with our students and face-to-face interaction, the question, how do I teach, will be very difficult for us to answer. Okay, so instead, ang unang tanong natin, okay, um, when we transition, okay, or lift, okay, our structure from last year into our modular format is no longer how do I teach this, but instead, our first question is, how do I design so that my students will learn this? Okay? Kasi sila na yun eh, di ba? Independent learning package nga to eh. So, we have to think in a way that our module will be consumed by our students, okay? To help them learn. Okay? So, dapat yun ang una na tanong, paano sila matututo gamit ang module na ito? Okay? Aside from that is that I also encourage for you to revisit your instructional materials. Okay? Huwag niyo kagad itapon lahat. Okay? Yung mga presentations nyo na yan, yung mga worksheets nyo na yan, uh, please do revisit them. Okay? Um, Kunin nyo ulit because those could actually be transformed, okay, so that it could fit, okay, into our new mode of learning or mode of education, okay? So, ang gagawin lang natin is that kailangan lang natin siyang i-digitize kung um, mag-online distance learning ka or modularize kung naka-remote learning and study ka. Okay, so kailangan natin lang gawin is that mag-refitting tayo. Okay, so again, hindi naman to like pagiging tamad. Okay, it's not about that. It's about being practical about it. Okay, because I know whatever we designed before are working instructional materials and it could actually be digitized. For example, no, meron kang presentation. Okay, so it's a short presentation. You could actually record that presentation, upload it in via YouTube or in your LMS, for example, if you're using Google Classroom, and let your students watch it. Okay, so as if you're giving instruction on a particular concept. Okay, of course, we don't naman recommend that we do it for everything, diba? Okay, because we don't want our students just looking at the screen, watching your video lectures. Hindi rin natin pwedeng gawin yun sa module natin. Okay? So what the point here is that let's build up on something. Okay? Gamit natin kung ano yung meron na tayo because we can't really start from scratch. Okay? Magkukulangan tayo ng oras. Okay? Siguro important din, no? Aside from those things, that kailangan nating maintindihan why do we need to use a module or why use a module in the first place, okay? Bakit siya ang naging unang option when we shifted to online distance learning or distance learning, okay? So unang-una kasi, it's an individualized, okay, approach, okay? It's flexible and adaptable. Okay. It's a 21st century adapted. Okay. And of course, it can allow it allows evaluation and revision. Okay. A much easier evaluation and revision. So since it's chunk, okay, dahil naka-chunk siya, okay, mas madaling makita kung may mali yung isang module, okay, without affecting the rest of the modules that you have. Okay, so you can isolate a particular problem in a one module. Okay? Kasi nga self-contained yan eh. So, after one module, pwede kang magkaroon ng feedbacking. How does it work? Does it work even? You can tweak your second module, etc. And build up on it. Okay? Second is that yung yung skills required okay, to actually perform or accomplish a module is so much or very much okay, 21st century base. Okay, so yung for example, looking for answers. Kasi wala ka dun to give them the answers, di ba? Most of the answers they have to look for themselves. Okay, that idea of critical thinking. Okay, so when you present them information, how do they process it? Okay, and all of these things that's 21st century based. Okay. Third, it's that it's adaptable, okay, and it's flexible, okay. So lahat ng modules na gagawin mo ngayon can actually be transformed in a different format later on, okay. So just imagine, for example, lahat ng modules na ginawa mo ngayon, actually pwede mo yan gamitin pagbalik natin sa classroom next year. So hopefully we go back to classroom next year, okay. So i-refit mo lang ulit yan in a classroom setup and you have ready your instructional materials ready for the year. Okay? And of course, last one siguro is that it's student based. Okay, so since it's packaged, okay, it can be digest and consumed by our students or used by our students in their own pace, okay, in their own choices. Okay, so mataas, it's a student-led, student-paced approach. Okay, so again, going back to 21st century, you can't go any more 21st century than that. Okay. Um, Kailangan din nating malaman or alalahanin, okay? Yung interaction ng three important concepts, okay, sa loob ng modular delivery, okay? So meron kang tatlong important concepts na kailangan um, to consider, okay, when you develop your modules. So number one, yung content mo. Two, yung coach, which is the teacher, okay? So we we will explain that later on why a coach, okay, because there's a shift in the role, okay, so we're going to go back to that later on. And of course yung community, okay, basically your community is the group of learners that's interacting with each other, okay. In our usual traditional setup before the COVID um, struck us, okay, ito yung setup niya, okay. So malaki yung content mo, okay, so marami kang pwedeng ituro, marami kang pwedeng i-deliver, okay. Nandiyan si coach, okay, nandiyan si teacher, present, okay. Of course, siya yung nagmamanage ng content delivery. And of course, nandiyan yung community kasi nasa loob kayo ng isang classroom. So, mas madali yung interaction between the students, okay? Ito yung gusto nating mangyari. Ideally, okay, when we do online distance learning, okay, is to reduce the content, okay? Why so? Kasi kapag nag-online distance learning tayo, ang mas gusto nating i-focus would be the skill development of our students. Okay? Plus, kung makita nyo, tumaas din yung community. Okay? Kasi wala tayo sa loob ng classroom, mas kailangan nating i-develop yung community to support our learners. Okay? To perform on their own or to learn from their own. Okay? The coach is still there. Okay? So just and hindi nagbago yung size. Actually, kung napansin nyo ng konti, mas lumaki pa ng konti yung size nung coach dyan, okay? So, contrary to the belief of others, okay? Actually, mas madaming kailangan gawin ng mga teachers ngayon in order to carry on online distance learning or online learning, okay? But we also recognize na hindi lahat, no, magagawa to kasi it would demand a lot of resources to actually carry out a full online distance learning, okay? So, kailangan mo ng LMS, kailangan mo ng devices, constant connection, etc. But if wala kang ganun, okay, magre-result tayo sa ibang modality. For example, the remote learning kung saan meron kang module pa rin, okay, that you're going to give their students either printed or online, okay. Nandun pa rin si coach, okay. Pwedeng nagko-communicate via email, okay, or social media kung gusto niyo gamitin yung social media and other forms, okay. So nandun pa rin yung presence pero wala kang community. So for example, kasi walang pwedeng gamitin na um, LMS or learning management system to bring students together in one space. Okay? But of course, okay, meron din tayong mga places na talaga mahirap yung connection or walang devices yung mga students natin. So mahirapan tayong to carry on online distance learning or even remote learning. Okay, so we resort to remote study wherein we print the modules. Okay, kaya lang magiging problema natin when we print the modules, mawawala yung presence ng coach, okay? And yung us, the community. So the student now really will be on his own with the modules that we're going to give them, okay? So now, um, itong differences na to ng interactions ng different elements of education in different modalities, okay? Gusto ko ipakita sa inyo so that you could locate yourselves, okay? Kailangan nating malaman nasan tayo ngayon, nasan yung mga estudyante natin. Kasi whatever modules we're going to create will be for them. So kailangan the modules is exactly designed in their context, okay? So that it would actually work. Kasi for example, nag-design ka ng module that actually works for online distance learning, kaya lang wala naman palang devices or connection yung mga students natin. So how would they be able to carry on or carry out that module? So mas medyo magiging exclusive yung modules natin. So kailangan very inclusive yung modules natin. And of course, student-centered yung modules natin. Okay? So also, kailangan natin malaman, okay, na sa modular format, there is a reframing of roles. Okay? So magbabago, mag-shift yung roles ni teacher, ni student, and even the school. Okay? So when we look at the roles, okay, let's look at first then the students, okay. Um, Usually, of course, ito yung mga recipients, okay, or receivers, okay, ng information. Okay? Kaya lang, pagdating sa modular format, hindi na sila to ngayon. Okay? Kailangan, we have to position them in a different role, which is independently engaging and interacting with the content. And, ito yung tandaan natin na, creating new information. Okay? So, kailangan, the module we're going to create would actually challenge our student to interact with the content, engage with the content, and eventually create something out of it. Okay? Why so? Kasi kapag ang module natin is magre-receive pa rin sila ng information and they would not actually engage or interact with it, mabobore yung mga students natin and they would not be able to actually use or will not use actually our modules. So, kailangan the modules work in such a way na na-empower yung mga students natin. Okay? Second is that the teacher. Okay? So, magbabago din, of course, yung roles ng mga teachers natin. Again, as I've told everyone, okay, even in the different parents forum that I've given, na hindi po bumaba or lumiit ang trabaho ng mga teachers. Okay? In fact, mas dumami ang trabaho ng mga teachers ngayon kasi hindi na lang kami gagamit din ng learning packages or hindi lang kami gagamit ng or mag implement ng learning process. This time, we're actually going to design the entire learning process so that it would work for our students. Okay? So, teachers now are the designers, okay, of learners. We are no longer just the users of learning process. Okay? And of course, magiging coach din tayo. Okay? We have to be there for our students to coach them in order to develop independent learning. Kasi yan yung kailangan nilang makuha or magawa in order to be successfully or to be successful in distance learning. Okay? And of course, aside from the students and the teachers, okay, magbabago din yung roles ng mga schools natin, no? Not actually magbabago, pero more on naha-highlight yung isa sa mga important roles ng schools, okay, to their teachers and all of their stakeholders, okay? So, ang siguro pinaka-important na magiging emphasis is that there should be a very strong support from the school, okay? For their teachers, kailangan siguro like tuloy-tuloy ang mga trainings, okay? ang provision for instructional materials, kung kailangan mag-print ng modules, etc. Okay? They also should have like a very strong student support. Okay? So, meron bang like for example, places or spaces, okay, where the students could actually call or email if they have something to ask about their what's something wrong about their modules, okay, or the problems of the students. Even the formation aspect, maganda rin na i-include ng mga schools, no, para to support the students at home, okay? Because um, even if they're at home, okay, mataas pa rin ngayon, lalo na ngayon sa situation natin, mataas yung cases ng stress, mataas yung cases ng emotional distress for the students, okay? And of course, lastly, no, yung support to parents. Okay, the school should have a very strong support to the parents as well as our collaborators. Okay, for distance learning. Okay, so dapat meron kayong orientations for the parents. Okay, merong mga constant forums with the parents to guide them how to guide their sons for independent learning. Okay, and again, siguro ano lang to highlight lang because na-highlight ko naman na to sa mga ibang forums natin na the parents' role is not to teach, okay, or to know the content, okay? So the support that we have to give to the parents is how to help their kids, okay, become independent learners, okay? Kasi hindi kailangan ng parents mag-aral ng content, okay? Ang kailangan ng parents is to know how to help their kids, become independent learners, okay? Okay, now let's go to the module components or ano ba yung dapat lamanin ng mga modules natin. Okay, so there are several things na kailangan nating ilagay sa modules natin. Okay, so for example, nakapag-decide ka na no, ng division mo for the quarter. Okay, and you decide that your first quarter, you're going to have three modules. Okay, so module 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so pwede magkaroon ng iba't ibang format, no? Pero in a regular way, in a standard way, okay? Ito yung usually laman ng mga modules, okay? Na dapat lamanin ng mga modules, okay? So the first one is introduction and objectives, okay? Sabi natin kanina, modules are instructional packages with well-defined objectives. Kasi kailangan yun eh. Kailangan malaman ng mga estudyante what the module is for, what are the objectives of the module so that they could later on reflect if they have achieved the objectives. Okay? Second one, of course, kailangan natin yung experiences or activities to engage our students. Okay? So, ito na yung lesson proper mo. Okay? Pero hindi lang to dapat yung activities. Kailangan engaging activities to. Kasi kailangan ma-encourage natin and ma-motivate natin yung mga students natin to actually engage to the content of the modules. Okay? Pwede mo itong i-divide into two, no? In our school, we divide our activities into two. It's either an experience wherein they immerse themselves to the content, they are exposed to the content. Okay, so it could be like as simple as reading a PDF file or a reading material. It could be as simple as watching a video or looking at pictures, etc. Okay, so they're now acquiring and um, um, getting knowledge, okay, or information. Okay. Second is that after getting those information, we ask them to take action, okay, about it. Okay. So applying whatever they have learned from the module. Okay. So ano to, it's a two-pronged approach in creating your activities. Okay. Para mas malalim kasi hindi lang pwede na nalaman ko. Okay. Kailangan ko ring malaman kung paano ko to gagamitin or para saan ko to pwedeng gamitin. Okay. Of course, lalabas din nandito yung assessments natin. Kailangan nating maglagay ng mga assessments, okay? Of course, that's the only way to check if they actually learned what they're supposed to learn, okay? Sinama ko rin dito na sana magkaroon tayo ng reflection part kasi yung reflection part would actually serve a lot of things, okay? It's either they could reflect on their learning process, okay, what's wrong, how can they improve, okay? Kasi it brings them inner closer, okay, to knowing what to improve in themselves so they become successful independent learners. Lalo na ngayon sa time na to na walang mag-guide sa kanila, lalo na kung naka-remote study ka or naka-remote learning, okay? And of course, we can't always be there for them, okay? So they have to understand on their own, okay, and try to discover what went wrong or what went right. Okay? Maganda rin i-emphasize yung mga positive things doon sa module na ginamit nila. Okay? And of course, not really going to work for every all modalities, pero um, maganda rin na magkaroon ka ng feedback mechanism. Okay? Medyo mahirap tong isingit lalo na kung sa remote study. Okay? Kasi nga nakaprint yung modules mo, di ba? Pero yan ang hahanapan natin ng solusyon when we go to the part 2 or the workshop on July 11. Okay? So hahanapan natin ng way how can we still give a feedback mechanism despite it being a printed module. Okay? And lastly, okay, yung additional resources. We want our students to explore more. Okay, so aside from the things that you actually put in your modules, okay, give them an option. If I want to go beyond what's in the module, okay, where do I look for it? Okay, or what kind of resources may I use? Okay, so pwede ka maglagay ng mga video links, pwede ka maglagay ng mga websites, or if you want if it's a printed, pwede ka mag-appendix ng mga additional resources or reading materials that they can go through. Not a required one, but they can go through. Okay, it gives them, you know what, that more option if I want to explore more about the topic, especially if the topic is really, really interesting. Okay, we'll go deeper into the components. Okay, on our second part workshop, part of this webinar. Kasi ito yung kailangan natin gawin sa part 2. Okay? Okay, ngayon naman pag-usapan natin ang design principles na kailangan nating maintindihan at maalala when we design our modules. Okay? So the first one, okay, very important, okay, wag natin kalimutan, is that there should be a proper alignment of the components. Okay, so kailangan when we design our modules, okay, yung components natin, okay, which is for example, the learning objectives, okay, the experience, okay, and the assessments, okay, are actually aligned. Okay, so ibig sabihin, si assessment, okay, it will measure whatever has been experienced, okay, and learned by the students, okay? And the experiences, okay, the actions we're going to plan for them are actually tied to the learning objectives. So kailangan lagi nating chine-check yan whenever we define when we develop a module para sure tayo that it's cohesive, okay? And it the module actually will be able to teach or to achieve, okay, what we meant it to be achieved, okay, by the module, okay? Okay, ang second principle natin is the principle of the building block. Okay, it was mentioned already kanina yung concept ng building block as part of our definition. Pero gusto kong emphasize lang ulit na it's also a principle no ng module designing to think of it as a building block. Kasi when you think of it as a building block, dapat ma-realize natin na it's actually meant to complete the whole. Okay, so while it's self-contained, okay, and could actually be digest separately, part pa rin yun ng whole. Okay, so ibig sabihin, nagpa-function siya as part of an entire subject or a course. Okay, pero ang maganda dito is that um, when we package our course, okay, or our subjects in a modular format, okay, look at this shape. Okay, for example, instead of like digesting the entire shape all at once, okay, um, modular format allows you to digest each part, okay, one at a time, okay? So making it easier, so much easier, no, to consume or to digest a particular content, okay? And ang beauty ng being a building block, okay, or a self-contained chunk is that it can accommodate changes, okay? So hindi siya rigid. Ibig sabihin, yung student, dahil student pay siya, pwede siyang pumili ng how long will I stay in this module, how fast can I do this module, etc. Or can I finish all the modules at a much faster rate, okay? And also, pag nagkaroon ng mga problems, for example, um, nagkaroon ng bagyo, calamity, hindi natin kailangan agad maghabol ng anything. Okay? Instead, i-accommodate lang ni module yan. Okay? Kasi nga student-paced naman tayo. Okay? And secondly, about the building block concept is that being a building block also, it could actually support a progression. Okay, so aside from being part of a whole, it could actually also be part of a building of a skill or a content. Okay, so ito naman mas linear yung progression. Ibig sabihin, for example, your Module 1 builds up to Module 2 and Module 2 builds up to Module 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Okay? Siguro lang, ito lang, mas rigid lang ng konti ito kasi you really have to make sure that there's a strong connection from one module to another, especially the transition phase, okay? Kasi kailangan mo mag-build up eh. Parang in a way, sinasabi natin na prerequisite yung the preceding module to the next module, okay? Pero still works that way, no? So yung third principle natin siguro is one of the most important principle of one of the one of the most important principles of module designing is the module should be interactive and engaging. Kasi the students will need to be engaged, okay, or to find that the reason, okay, to engage with the content of the module or the module itself, okay? But how do we do that? How do we ensure na mag-interact yung mga students natin and mag-engage sa module natin? Okay, so isa lang kaya natin tandaan, okay, na when we design our module, we have to put our students at the center of the planning and designing and creating of the module. Okay? So kailangan natin silang iniisip natin while we're actually creating the module. Okay? There's this concept, okay, in design thinking that would actually might actually help us. Okay? Yung concept ng empathy, okay, or empathizing with our client or users. Okay? So ibig sabihin lang nito is that when you're designing or creating the module, kailangan isipin mo sino ang gagamit nito. Okay? Isa ba tong grade 1 student? Isa ba tong grade 2 student? Ang mga students na ito ba ay may devices or access to online resources? Things like that. Okay? So, kailangan sa start pa lang, alam mo na kung para kanino mo ginagawa yung module na yan. Para it's actually fitted, okay, to the use of the students, okay? In a way, sinasabi natin, kailangan user-friendly siya, okay? And doing so, okay? Uh, makita natin kung paano siya gawing interactive and engaging, okay? So, if I do this activity in the module, will they interact with it or will they engage in it? Will the module actually invite the students, okay? Um, more, okay? So, pwede natin, ganun man siya kailangang i-frame para mas lahat ng gagawin mong parts ng module mo ay will be in a way most possibly interactive and engaging. Okay? Yung principle number 4 is already very common to all of us. Okay? Alam na natin na mas mataas ang engagement or retention rate, no, kapag when we go visual. Okay? So when we present things in a visual way. Okay? Kaya nga 'di ba pag minsan, for example, when you're processing data, graphs are more applicable, or when we present a picture or a video, it captures the student's attention more. So it's very similar to module, okay, or module design. Let's go visual, okay? So for example, no, para lang makita yung difference, I got this definition of water cycle. Okay, so just excuse science teachers. Okay, do correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, but I just got this from the internet. Okay, so for example, you have a definition of water cycle. There's nothing wrong about that. Okay, we can include that in the module. But why not, for example, include as well a visualization of that concept? Okay, uh, rather than just having one, okay, na isa lang, na text lang, na puro text lang, if we can find an image, okay, or a visualization of that concept, then let's just provide that, okay, para mas madali siyang ma-digest ng mga students natin. Plus, again, it's not going to drag them reading the entirety of the text. But of course, no, wag natin tanggalin naman entirely yung text. Okay, very important din yan kasi ang reading is also a 21st century skill na kailangan nating i-develop sa mga students natin. Okay? So, important pa rin yun. But what I suggest that why not use a complementary visuals, okay, to augment yung understanding or retention ng mga students natin when they interact with our content. Okay? Principle number 5, okay, is to provide a deep dive. Okay, so what's a deep dive? Okay, um, when you say deep dive, it's basically allowing our students to go beyond the module, okay? To go beyond the content that we presented them, to go beyond what the module is intended for, okay? So we invite them to find new ways, okay, to expand their knowledge and understanding of the concept, okay? Um, so when we do a deep dive, okay, you can actually do several things, no? You can actually, one, do additional sources. We had that in the components of the module, okay? So in doing so, after you presented the information or knowledge in your module, they could actually also still look for other information, okay? So pwedeng it could work in different ways, no? Okay, by providing different resources. One, it could expand their knowledge about that concept. Second, it could develop a way of criticizing or comparing information, okay? Magwa-widen yung perspective nila, okay? So that's a good deep dive. Second is that application to the real world. Okay, so let's use the context of our students or our context right now, di ba? Yung context ng pandemic, yung context ng lockdowns, etc. Ipasok natin yun sa mga lessons natin if we can, no? Why? Because in doing so, it the content becomes much more relatable to our students, and therefore they can actually find new ways and more ways to engage in it. So mas lalalim yung understanding nila ng concepts kasi nasa context nila yung learning process. Okay? So mas madali siyang maintindihan at mas madali siyang palalimin. Okay? And siguro last one, we can also include critical and thought-provoking questions for them that goes beyond the module, okay? Na hindi natin present na information, something that would ask them to go look for other answers somewhere else, okay? And or apply, okay, what they have learned in the module, okay? So those are the some of the ways, okay, you can actually do a deep dive. The point here is that let's give them that option, okay? Um, or let's develop in them that desire to explore more and learn more, okay, independently. So parang developing the love for learning, okay. Principle number 6, okay, um, is we have to remember to structure it for independent learning, okay. Ibig sabihin, lalo na for those who are printing their modules, okay. Dapat yung modules natin, as mentioned in the early part when we define a module, it's a complete package. Okay? Ibig sabihin, when the students use it, they can actually use it on their own. Okay? Hindi nila kailangan ng tutor, hindi nila kailangan ng excessive assistance. They can actually go through your module, perform the tasks, do the assessments, okay? And actually learn from the module on their own. Okay? So how do we do that? Okay? Number one, there should be clear instructions. Okay, so number one, dapat lahat ng instructions natin for the activities, for the assessments, dapat clearly defined yan. Again, you go back to the position of the students, you empathize with the students, and see if they're going to understand your instructions. Okay. Second is that we have to carefully think about developmentally appropriate activities. Ibig sabihin, dapat balance yung activities natin. Not too easy to bore them, but not too difficult, okay, to cause panic to them. Kasi for example, kung too easy, hindi yan mag-engage. Kasi sobrang dali lang ng task di ba? I can is and also hindi siya may invite to explore more. Okay? Kasi ang dali lang ng task na perform ko kagad eh. Hindi rin siya pwedeng too difficult. Kasi kapag too difficult, magkakos na yan ng panic. Okay? Diyan na maghahanap ng tutor, diyan na maghahanap ng assistance to parents. So, kukulitin na yung parents of how to go about this, how to do it. And we don't want that. Okay? We want our learners, okay, to be confident, okay, about themselves, okay, doing the learning themselves, okay? Siguro dito papasok yung idea ng zone of optimal development, no? Na kailangan meron tayong careful balance between what the students know already, okay, and what the students um, cannot perform, okay? So kailangan andun tayo sa gitna, okay? And we keep on that balance, okay? Para there's a right amount of difficulty and challenge to the students, okay? So to keep them moving forward, but not causing any panic, okay? And of course, kailangan din for to support independent learning, dapat inclusive yung access sa resources. Okay? Dapat when we design our module, alam natin what kinds of resources are available to our students. Kasi for example, sa module mo, nag-require ka ng mga videos, okay? Or nag-require ka ng mga online resources. Eh kaso wala naman palang internet sa area or mahina ang connectivity ng mga students natin or wala silang devices. So how would they be able to develop independent learning and how would they become more confident in themselves if they can't actually access the resources you're asking them to access? So dapat maging conscious tayo doon. Okay? The last one is again a bit of a challenge, okay? But I think it's something that we have to rethink about. Okay, so yung concept ng feedback mechanism. Na-mention to ni Sir Angelo earlier, okay? But I'd like to emphasize several things about it, okay? And why it's important to put it in our modules, okay? One is that it validates and evaluate. Okay, so um, providing feedback mechanism, okay, we can set up checkpoints in order to validate the learning process if it's working and evaluate if the module is working. And again, being a module, ang dali lang itong gawin kasi naka-chunk yung module eh. Okay, so we can easily see if it's working or not. Okay? The feedback mechanism also allows us to align and realign learning objectives. Okay? Kasi through feedback mechanism, nakikita natin kung nag-work ba nga ba yung module. Okay? So while the students are asynchronously approaching their own learning, we have to keep on checking the alignment para lang, even if they're on their own pace, okay? Na-make sure pa rin natin that they're going to the direction that the learning objectives are supposed to bring them. Okay? And last one, support students' learning process. Okay? Um, when we have a feedback mechanism, when we send feedback to our students, okay, it actually allows them to validate their learning, okay, to develop confidence, okay, na tama pala yung ginagawa ko or tama pa rin pala yung ginagawa ko. So that could actually help our students, okay, continue moving forward with the modules, okay? Para din, in a way, di ba, again, we have to be there for them, to coach them, okay? Na if they're doing right, okay, or if they're going to the right direction that we want to bring them, okay? So those are the seven important principles siguro ng module designs, no? At lahat ng to, okay, the components, the principles of designs, okay, and all the things we've talked about it so far, we're going to apply all of this when we do our workshop on July 11. Okay, so doon natin i-apply lahat together with or alongside with the structure provided by the MELC or the most essential learning competencies set by DepEd. Okay? So yun yung gagawin natin. Okay? How do we take all of this, okay, that we've learned today, okay, into that? Okay, so be ready with a workshop type webinar on July 11. Okay? And siguro na lang, just to close this part of the webinar is that we have to remember na nagbago yung modality, okay? That the modality may have changed, okay? But the goal of education remains centered on empowering the students, okay? So dun ulit tayo babalik, okay? So when we do our module design, balik ulit tayo sa students natin. We think of them, we put them at the center of our planning and designing and creating so that whatever module we're going to create, okay, we're sure it's actually going to work for them, okay, because we considered them in the design and creation process, okay? So, thank you so much. Maraming salamat for listening on this part, okay? We'll now proceed directly to the question and answer.